So we ended here in the midst of the B Company 3rd of the 8th's activation. They had utilized the headquarters over here unit to take a shot at the East Germans. No, it didn't. Oh, that's right. The headquarters directed a shot up here and wrecked these guys. And after that, I thought to myself, oh, what about offboard artillery? And I haven't been paying attention to that, and blah blah blah. So I think I'm going to just keep playing the solo assistant as it is. But here's a little bit about one of the things I love about this game. It talks about how the headquarters token is not representative of the commanding officer, so to speak, but it's representative of command assets being funneled someplace. So in this situation, we've got me thinking that I'm not paying close enough attention as the player over here. But in game situations, it might be that the headquarters, the bosses of this outfit, became so concerned about these tanks over here that they sort of lost situational awareness and didn't get themselves oriented towards making any attempts to interdict these infantry. And now that they've seen them roll down here, they're thinking, oh man, that's a problem. And so the next activation for this unit, the headquarters will almost certainly redeploy over here, if not order some more assets to come this way to try to help out against this assault. But for the moment, what we're going to have happen is they're going to finish this formations activation. The only LOS is from this mortar unit here, and they're going to go ahead and take a shot out here. And they roll 3 dice needing 5s. They would not have been allowed to conduct opportunity fires. So they're going to roll 3 dice needing 5s and see if they can bust up the front part of this assault here, and they're going to get 2 hits. So the infantry is in the open. They have no save bonus whatsoever. So they are going to be disrupted. No, I'm wrong. They're not unloaded yet. They're in the vehicle. So a single die of 5 for the BMP to save. He does save, so that's 1 hit. So it becomes disrupted. And as we discussed earlier, the passengers in a disrupted vehicle also become disrupted. And so that's not great for the East Germans. And the mortar is ops complete, did its job. Now let's see what the solo assistant says about these units that don't have line of sight. So they don't have an order. There's none of them are disrupted. The largest group of good order units closest to a victory objective or unit is firing. That doesn't apply. The disrupted unit doesn't apply victory conditions, and I think, well, look at some of these victory conditions here. Execute victory conditions. So eligible AEO attempt to eliminate, and that doesn't, in a victory objective. Closest to a victory hex not controlled by the AEO moves towards it. So this condition here kind of applies. And so I'm going to interpret that situation a little bit loosely. I am going to determine that the infantry are going to be ordered to move closer to the victory hex in order to defend it, and so is this ITV. So, although actually no, the ITV is in a pretty good place. If armor starts to show up here, it's got a good shot and it's up on a hill. But yeah, they can't quite see, so they're going to move down there too. I think that is in the letter or the spirit of the orders on that card there. I think that that card is basically saying, go, secure the victory location. So that's what I'm going to do for them. And that is all for that unit. And now let's see what formation activates next. It's the my Saving Private Ryan unit, I call it. 8 Company, 5th of the 8th, with 1 remaining unit. So let's see what the solo assistant tells us to do. Look, I remembered. It's this group here. They do not have line of sight. Oh wait, they do have line of sight. And I'm such a spaz. Range 8. So that is at long range for their anti-tank guided missile. So let's see what the solo assistant tells them to do. Good order AEO less than good order player units, it passes. So that seems about right to me, right? That's no shot to try to take some long-range shot at a T-80. That's silly. They're going to just kind of sit tight and see what they can do. I also want to acknowledge that I have been forgetting throughout this entire game that there is a concealed bonus in this game. And concealed units are units that are in any kind of terrain that gives them cover and are not marked ops complete. And so you get an extra die for being concealed, an extra defense die. So I've failed that on a number of occasions. I don't think it matters much. I don't actually really love that rule myself. I've often considered intentionally playing without it. But that's what we've got. So this American unit is going to pass, although they do get to remove that ops complete marker as part of being activated. And now let's see who comes next. The East Germans get to make a airstrike. And as always, I need to think a lot about the airstrike. So I'm going to pause the video here and spend some time contemplating. Okay, with the canny intellect of a veteran fighter, the Warsaw Pact commander realizes that this headquarters unit here, which can call in artillery and such, is the biggest threat. So we're going to bring our airstrike marker to bear against those units. Now, interestingly, it turns out that an infantry unit can hold multiple infantry manned support weapons. And so we are going to deploy a Stinger to this infantry unit as well as the Dragon, and that is now marked. It will be marked ops complete, but we're going to get a shot at this. So, and also over here, we'll finally get to see how this works. The other American infantry, which has a weapon, they can also bring out a Stinger. And so I've got to roll to see if this is a surprise attack. It is not a surprise attack. So what that means is not only can an eligible anti-aircraft unit engage the airstrike, but another unit that has the capability of engaging them can add, can also shoot at it to add its to add 1 to the firepower. So that's not 2 hit, that's firepower, right? So the down here we've got a Stinger. I should probably check, is there a minimum range on these things? You'd think by now I would have this all sorted out, but yeah, I don't see anything real quick, so I'm going to say no. So I think these are the same, right? I think it's 2 Stingers. Yeah, it's a Stinger SAM, 3 needing 4. So this headquarters actually will be the lead unit because that gives 4 needing 4, and then the Stinger SAM over here will add +1 firepower. So that will make it 5 needing 4 to hit the airstrike count on only one, and the Su-22, I think that's called a fritter. That is now going to uh, get a save of 2 dice needing 5, and it fails to save, so it is trundled off. Now we're supposed to do this die roll to see if it survives or not. It theoretically doesn't survive, but you know me and toys. I don't ever want to stop playing with them, so we'll go ahead and suppress it. But yeah, it ain't done. It's just suppressed. It'll be back. And well done, American units. Very well done. Very well done. Now they did just hurt themselves some with not being able to respond with opportunity fire if these tanks start to roll. But I'm thinking we're okay with that. And I won't have time to play the formation, but let's see. What's next is B Company, 4th of the 69th. They're way down here. Yeah, I just think that I have them about as well deployed as I'm going to get them deployed. So we're not going to worry about doing anything solo assistant-wise with them. And now C1st of the 68th Infantry Division. That is this unit over here, and they've had one of their tank platoons destroyed, and now they're looking through smoke. Now, the Americans have thermal imaging, by the way. I'm using thermal imaging, so they can still see what's going on up here, but they get the penalty for shooting through smoke, and having realized that, the East Germans should have put a second smoke hex here. But we'll get to them when I come back from my next order of business. All right, let's talk about thermal imaging, advanced night sighting, and how that works. It's an optional rule, but I'm using it here. So certain NATO units have the capacity to see through smoke, and the penalty for that is a +1 2-hit modifier on all direct fire. Can't use it at extended range, and other than that, that's it. There are some Soviet units that are given thermal imaging at the headquarters level for artillery spotting here, so for nights or smoke. So what we've got going on here is the American Abrams here with the headquarters has line of sight to this disrupted BMP-2, which didn't take into account the possession of night fighting equipment when it decided to stop here instead of here. And this infantry unit, it could it could move through the woods and assault that Abrams, and infantry units assaulting tanks do pretty well. So this is not a good place from the American perspective for there to be Soviet infantry sitting around, Czechoslovakian infantry. So they're going to try to blow this sucker up here. I think we're going to see what the solo assistant tells us to do, but I've got to believe that they're going to be firing at a unit at point blank range. So if it's disrupted, it makes a low risk move, otherwise fires up here. So that is, we are at point blank range here for the Abrams. So this is going to be 6 dice with the headquarters, and the 2-hit number is going to be a 6 instead of a 5. If the 2-hit number was a 4 here, then it would still be modified to a 6 by smoke, because you see this line goes through 2 smoke hexes. But the penalty is never greater than that. So, in other words, there's never an amount of smoke that will make the night sights non-functional. All right, so here we go. 6 needing 6, and that is a complete whiff for the Americans. Not good from their perspective. Now, the second unit in this formation that remains alive is in a place where it has no line of sight to any enemy units. So let's see if we can sort out what the solo assistant tells them to do. Highest firepower solo assistant unit that is farthest from the player unit with the lowest dB fires, right? But that's no line of sight. It's not disrupted. It's not in a zero. So all of these instructions here are to fire, and that this unit can't do that. Now, there's a bit of a question here. We've got a disrupted helicopter here. There's nothing that this unit can do about that. But it could potentially, this tank could move here and get a shot at these helicopters. I don't know if helicopters can make opportunity fire. I also don't know if you can make a reload roll for missiles if you need to make opportunity fire. So the question sort of is, does it make sense to try to take this helicopter unit out? If the tank moves here or here, it will be getting penalized with one firepower dice, so it would be down to 3, but it would be point blank range, so it would need 4s. So that's a pretty good shot. In fact, I think probably worth it, and also puts them in a position where, well, so this helicopter is currently hovering, and so it does, if it makes its reload roll, have a shot at the tanks in headquarters here, which the Americans would rather not have. But it also, if this unit changes to hovering, if it undisrupts, if it rallies and changes to hovering and pops up, then it's going to have a shot. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my question is, do I think that let's see what the counteractions would be. That doesn't specifically apply, but we haven't gone through that yet. Counteractions for a defensive posture. A unit off the map moves onto the map. A unit within line of sight will move and fire. An AEO more than point blank range and hexes away from enemy unit moves towards a victory objective, so it tries to secure the objective. Closest to a unit that fired, fire or move towards, it passes if all player units in LOS are ops complete. So I guess that means save your activation for a possible op fire. And closest to a player unit, fire at the player unit up to long range. So none of these talk specifically about move and fire, but this condition here says fire or move towards, and the Abrams have the ability to do that. So I'm going to again make a command decision that that's what I'm going to do, but first I need to figure out whether the helicopters can opportunity fire and whether you can reload your missiles before opportunity firing. Even if they can't reload their missiles, they get a shot with their cannon, which is, still a pretty good shot there. So the helicopter cannot make a missile reload attempt to try opportunity fire, but it is eligible to make opportunity fire. So I'm going to have this Abrams make a move right here, and it is now subject to opportunity fire. Point blank, 4 dice needing 4s, and so the helicopter is going to take that shot. Is there any way to get this bridge destroyed marker out of sight here? I'm not sure how the whole... I know that they have these other... So I'm going to delete this. These markers here, I just didn't think they were visible enough. I wanted to show myself. All right, so here we go. 4 dice needing 4s. That is 2 hits, and the Abrams gets 2 dice. It gets 4 dice, needing 5s for its armor value, and it is no longer concealed because it's moving, and so it gets a 5th dice, needing 5s because of the woods. And that shrugs off the puny Russian op fire, and it doesn't suffer any further penalties for moving into the city, and since that gives it a better field of fire up this way, it's going to do that, and it's now going to take its point blank shot, so it's 3 dice because it moved, needing 4s. And that is a single hit, and the hovering helicopter gets only a single dice, needing 5, and it saves. So yeah, I love this game. That is a tense situation for these tankers right here, isn't it? All right. So I am going to stop this video. Well, I always like to pull the next formation card. I will certainly do that. And the turn comes to an end. So I believe that there are some formations that have not activated, but you don't need to listen to me prattle on about the end of turn stuff. So I'm going to end this video here, and when I come back, we will be on turn 7.